points that John King was alluding to in talking about some of Senator Clinton's comments is there has been a lot of attention lately on some of your speeches, that they're very similar to some of the speeches by your friend and supporter Deval Patrick, the governor of Massachusetts. And Senator Clinton's campaign has made a big issue of this. To be blunt, they've accused you of plagiarism.
Right.
How do you respond?
Well, look, first of all, it's not a lot of speeches, right? There are 2 lines in speeches that I've been giving over the last couple of weeks. I've been campaigning now for the last 2 years. Deval is a national co-chairman of my campaign and suggested an argument that I share, that words are important. Words matter. And the implication that they don't, I think, diminishes how important it is to speak to the American people directly about making America as good as its promise. And Barbara Jordan understood this as well as anybody. Now, the notion that I had plagiarized from somebody who's one of my national co-chairs, who gave me the line and suggested that I use it, I think is silly. And, you know, but this is where we start getting into silly season in politics, and I think people start getting discouraged about it. They don't want... What they want is, how are we going to create good jobs at good wages? How are we going to provide health care to the American people? How are we going to make sure that college is affordable? So what I've been talking about in these speeches, and I got to admit, some of them are pretty good. What I've been talking about is not just hope and not just inspiration. It's a $4,000 tuition credit for every student every year in exchange for national service so that college becomes more affordable. I've been talking about making sure that we change our tax code so that working families actually get relief. I've been talking about making sure that we bring an end to this war in Iraq so that we can start bringing our troops home and invest money here in the United States. So just to finish up, these are very specific, concrete, detailed proposals, many of them which I've been working on for years now. Senator Clinton has a fine record. So do I. And I'm happy to have a debate on the issues, but what we shouldn't be spending time doing is tearing each other down. We should be spending time lifting the country up.
Is it the silly season?
Well, I think that if your candidacy is going to be about words, then they should be your own words. That's, I think, a very simple proposition. And, lifting whole passages from someone else's speeches is not change you can believe in. It's change you can Xerox. And I just don't think. No, but but Barack, it is, because if you look at the YouTube of these videos, it does raise questions. Now, there is no doubt that you are a passionate, eloquent speaker, and I applaud you for that. But when you look at what we face in this country, we do need to unite the country, but we have to unite it for a purpose around very specific goals. It is not enough to say, let's come together. We know we're going to have to work hard to overcome the opposition of those who do not want the changes to get to universal health care. When I proposed a universal health care plan, as did Senator Edwards, we took a big risk because we know it's politically controversial to say we're going to cover everyone. And you chose not to do that. You chose to put forth a health care plan that will leave out at least 15 million people. That's a big difference. When I said we should put a moratorium on home foreclosures, basically your response was, well, that wouldn't work. And, in the last week, even President Bush has said we have to do something like that. I just believe that we've got to look hard at the difficult challenges we face, especially after George Bush leaves the White House. The world will breathe a sigh of relief once he is gone. We all know that. But then we've got to do the hard work of not just bringing the country together, but overcoming a lot of the entrenched opposition to the very ideas that both of us believe in, and for some of us have been fighting for a very long time. You know, when I took on universal health care back in 93 and 94, it was against a firestorm of special interest opposition. I was more than happy to do that because I believe passionately in getting quality, affordable health care to every American. I don't want to leave anybody out. I see the results of leaving people out. I am tired of health insurance companies deciding who will live or die in America.
All right, Senator Clinton, thank you. Senator Obama, please respond.
Well, I think that Senator Clinton mentioned two specific issue areas where we've got some differences, and I'm happy to debate those, which is what I think should be the focus of this campaign. We both want universal health care. When I released my plan, a few months later, we were in a debate, and Senator Clinton said, we all want universal health care. And of course, I was down 20 points in the polls at the time. And so my plan was pretty good. It's not as good now. But my plan hasn't changed. The politics have changed a little bit. We both, 95% of our plans are similar. We both want to set up a system in which any person is going to be able to get coverage that is as good as we have as members of Congress. And we are going to subsidize those who can't afford it. We're going to make sure that we reduce costs by emphasizing prevention. And I want to make sure that we're applying technology to improve quality, cut bureaucracy. Now, I also want to make sure that we're reducing costs for those who already have health insurance. So we put in place a catastrophic reinsurance plan that would reduce costs by $2,500 per family per year. So we've got a lot of similarities in our plan. We've got a philosophical difference, which we've debated repeatedly, and that is that Senator Clinton believes the only way to achieve universal health care is to force everybody to purchase it. And my belief is the reason that people don't have it is not because they don't want it, but because they can't afford it. And so I emphasize reducing costs, and as has been noted by many observers, including Bill Clinton's former Secretary of Labor, my plan does more than anybody to reduce costs, and there's nobody out there who wants health insurance who can't have it. Now, there are legitimate arguments for why Senator Clinton and others have called for a mandate, and I'm happy to have that debate. But the notion that I am leaving 15 million people out somehow implies that we are different in our goals of providing coverage to all Americans. And that is simply not true. We think that there's going to be a different way of getting there. One last point I want to make on the health care front. I admire the fact that Senator Clinton tried to bring about health care reform back in 1993. She deserves credit for that. But I've said before, I think she did it in the wrong way, because it wasn't just the fact that the insurance companies and the drug companies were battling her, and no doubt they were. It was also that Senator Clinton and the administration went behind closed doors, excluded the participation even of Democratic members of Congress who had slightly different ideas than the ones that Senator Clinton had put forward. And as a consequence, it was much more difficult to get Congress to cooperate. And I've said that I'm going to do things differently. I think we have to open up the process. Everybody has to have a seat at the table. And most importantly, the American people have to be involved and educated about how this change is going to be brought about. The point is this. You know, we can have great plans, but if we don't change how the politics is working in Washington, then neither of our plans are going to happen. And we're going to be 4 years from now debating once again how we're going to bring universal health care to this country.
All right.
That's not something I want to do.
We've got some time constraints here, so we've got to take another real quick break.